I'll follow up with her to see if there's a way we can get more bulbs and make arrangements for pickup and deliveries out to the blocks. That would be nice to see a tremendous amount of yellow daffodils and know that we helped get them spread around the neighborhood. So I'll follow up.
What up, Maureen?
What up, Maureen? Hey, everybody.
Father Skelly. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back from the breakout rooms. I know I'm feeling really inspired and motivated after hearing so many wonderful thoughts and questions, especially. So these community gatherings are really where all the change happens. So now we're gonna go around and have people from each breakout room share some of the points that they talked about. So I'm gonna go and ask Nabila if you wanna start with your group, please.
Yes, can our spokesperson pipe up and chime in for us? For English Group 1. I won't be reporting back. Someone in our group will. Miriam.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got confused. We've sort of identified some of the concerns we have. We're also all really excited about the grid and all the things that we've talked about in this meeting. People were concerned about funding, about where it comes from, about hoping that we can make it cooperative, all the economic models and all of the businesses to keep the money here. We were concerned about the aggressiveness of the private sector and the political leadership at the high levels being more capitalist and patriarchal than will be beneficial to the community. And we were talked about the priorities of building capacity for organization and resilience in our organizing, and communication structures, having block association networks, and open streets. And I took a bunch of notes, but if someone wants to jump in and help me, we'd like to build off city programs that already exist. And I think that's what Maureen was talking, and one of the things that Maureen was talking about at the end about the daffodil project, that we could plant daffodils, and then I'll be happy about that. Yeah, there was a lot of more specific sort of details, but I won't take any more time. I hope that was a good.
That was great. Thank you.
Juan Camilo, can you address the issue of funding, and I'll try to answer some of the other questions?
Absolutely, Elizabeth. So thank you. That's a great question. I think that I'll start by highlighting something that was said earlier in terms of this being a very different moment than 5-10 years ago. Because thanks to the advocacy of UPROSE, the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance, some of their partners, that, as you heard, there's been important conversations at the city level, at the state level, and at the federal level that are finally taking climate change into consideration as a priority, and most importantly, are setting aside important amounts of money to be reinvested in communities to fight climate change. And in addition to that, because the work that UPROSE has been doing with their partners has put environmental justice at the center, a lot of those resources are already set aside for communities that have been subject to disproportionate environmental burdens, therefore, to fight environmental justice. So there's a lot of money that is going to go to communities like Sunset Park to be able to pay for these infrastructure improvements. In addition to that, there's a series of city and state programs, public resources that are going right now to the wrong places. And thanks to the advocacy of UPROSE and the members, those resources can be redirected to fund community-led initiatives like GRID. I'll stop there.
And Miriam, you may wonder how UPROSE gets to do this. We get to do this because we're movement people. I am the co-chair of the Climate Justice Alliance, which is a national organization that has been moving at a federal level to move money to the front line of the climate crisis. That means all of our communities across the country that are susceptible to extreme weather events are being, we're pushing the powers that be to make sure that they are deeply engaged in systems change. And for us, that means infrastructure. It means, what do we need to do to strengthen social cohesion in our communities, which is the thing that is going to help us survive. We're leaderful, we're mostly women-led, and we reject capitalism, we reject white supremacy, we reject all of those things that have put us in the position that we're in today. So your question was really packed with all the things that I hold near to my heart. Programs, though, like daffodil programs, that I didn't hear about that. There are programs that are already, those are environmental programs. Those are not environmental justice programs. So the city and the state already has resources for environmental remediation. We don't focus on environmental remediation because one of the things that we've learned is that environmental remediations contribute to the displacement of the people in Sunset Park. If we plant trees, and we have hundreds of trees exist all over Sunset because of 10 years of our work, we plant them because they're the lungs of our community, and they literally exist between the Gowanus Expressway and your lungs. They're there literally to clean up the toxins, the NOx, the SOx, the PM 2.5, and the stuff that gets lodged in our narrow air passages. But we think that the city, and for example, people ask, why don't our young people do cleanup? Because parks should be doing that. Other agencies, that's their responsibility. Our young people need to be developed into leaders that are going to be addressing policy, organizing, infrastructure, science, math, engineering, how communities move through space, and how they're going to be able to develop the resistance to survive extreme weather events. And so it's not that cleanup is not a good thing. My mom used to clean apartments for a living, right? It's not that that's a bad thing. It's that that is a small way of seeing young people of color when the city agencies are funded to do that work already. So that's kind of our values really come from, what do we need to do to strengthen social cohesion? We often not even use the word social resiliency, because resiliency means to bounce back to what was normal before there was an extreme weather event. And we can't go back to injustice. So we need to look forward, right? We can't bounce back to racism. So so anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, Miriam, and thank you so much, because that was packed with a lot, and I hope I did you justice.
You did the group justice. A lot of those concerns were not mine. I'm totally down with everything you just said.
Awesome. And now I'm going to share a little bit about what our group spoke about, because I didn't take a participant to report back in time. I'm sorry, everyone. But in my group, we had a lot of really, really great questions. We were doing a lot of critical thinking about the presentation. Some of the questions were about how to get more community members involved. How do we increase outreach? We had someone share that they learned about this through the flyering that was done by me and 15 of the youth who are involved at UPROSE now, which is really exciting. And we talked about how to, continue on with that, increase that type of mobilizing efforts. We talked about connecting with the building trade union, rank and file, specifically connecting with people who are already social justice oriented, already involved in activism work, in advocating for their rights. So that's something that we're going to look into, collaborating with other groups like that. There was a good question about reducing the financial burden of retrofitting residential buildings on everyday people. Some questions about our relationship with Industry City and competing with, or not competing with, but like how we manage the relationship with other people who are developing the waterfront and how that impacts the work that we're doing in our grid efforts. And then we also had some good ideas on connecting with more progressive people in city council and using them as a resource to get the word out about climate justice and how to get involved to fight against climate change and, mitigate those efforts. But yeah, I don't know if I'm missing anything. If anyone else from the groups wants to chime in. Yeah. Otherwise, okay. I'm getting some thumbs up from my group members. So now I'll pass it off to Violeta if you want to share who wants to report back to the group.
Thank you. So our group was the Spanish speaking group, and we will have Barbara do a little bit of a summary for our discussion. Barbara?
I also know that Barbara had to leave a little bit early. I'm not sure if she's left already. In which case, maybe Violeta, you
All
can.
right. So yes, I can do that. So some of the ideas that came up in our conversation were having some sort of like agronomy festival that could be used to incentivize and motivate the community to learn about the different campaigns that are happening in Sunset Park around climate justice, specifically Last Mile. In terms of block to block organizing, some suggestions included closing the streets on the weekends and using street vendors for tabling, like for example, like tabling next to the street vendors. Also visiting like kindergartens, and a lot of conversation around engaging children and youth. And then in terms of grid, there were some interesting suggestions around urban agriculture and how we could perhaps develop industries to manufacture some of the materials that are needed to do more agriculture in Sunset Park. I think those are some of the, some of the main ideas from our discussion. Does anybody, hay alguien en el grupo que le gustaría decir algo, comentar algo? No? I guess that's it.
All right, thank you all. That was awesome. I'm so glad that there were so many productive conversations happening in those breakout rooms. And just looking at the Jamboard now, I see that we have a lot of really great ideas that we can really run with. So I just wanted to drop in the chat one more time the link to get involved and join a committee, start taking action now, and also to give feedback on how this town hall went. But I'm super excited, and I know that we're more equipped than ever now to drive meaningful change to Sunset Park. Like a lot of people have said, we're up against a lot, with the state legislature redistricting Sunset Park against the wishes of community members and leaders. A lot of stuff is uncertain in the future, but with courage, collective care, and future collaboration like this, anything is possible. And we have this huge vision to decarbonize Sunset Park and adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change. And we're going to continue to fight against anything that comes our way, because we are siempre en la lucha y siempre por nuestra gente. So once again, thank you to everyone who came. Thank you to all of our speakers, to CJA, to Nija, to Nilpi, Council Member Alexa Aviles, Assembly Member Marcela Mitainis. We couldn't have done this without you all, and I look forward to engaging with you all in the future. Thank you all so much.